Hey, what are you doing here? Don't ask me. I don't think they know either. Oh, gosh. But, yeah. I guess, welcome to Business Owner Therapy Hour. That, or, let's see, Entrepreneur Therapy Hour? I don't know. Anyway, that doesn't matter. I'm mostly just making this video for myself to hopefully look back on in the future and think, dang, dude, that kind of sucked. But look how far we've come. And yeah, who knows if that's going to happen. But we'll see. I don't know. I'm going to publish this anyway. Like, not just keep it private. Maybe somebody out there is an aspiring business owner and maybe you can pull something productive from this. Like, oh, I better not do that. You know? Or maybe there's an off chance that you can be like, oh, that's a good idea. Or something along those lines. But, yeah, I guess we'll start from the beginning. This being the first one and all. But I suppose I'm just grieving my frustrations here. At least in this one. That's all I have. Not all I have. Anyway, so I originally had this idea for rely on yourself. When I didn't have the name Rely on Yourself yet, but I had the original concept whenever I was stationed in Korea, working on some products with some rinky-dink tools. And I was thinking, dude, when I get back home, I don't have a space. I'll be in the barracks, man. I won't have a space to work on anything. I was just doing it at work whenever I had some downtime. Anyway, and I don't have all the tools that I'd like to have. You know, I'm watching all these videos of everybody making crap, looking at all the tools they have, and I'm just like, dude, I don't have any of those tools. All the specialty ones, you know? And I was like, what if there was a place where I could go that was kind of like, I took construction and carpentry in high school. And, you know, there was like just this big shop with the wood cage and tools that you could just use. And someone showed you how to use them. I was like, dude, what if I just did that for like adults, you know? And after I had that thought, I didn't think about it much after, for a long time. And let's see here. Funny enough, it was when I was going to Korea the second time. I had just gotten divorced. And, you know, I took some time to be in the dumps because it's a pretty dumpy situation. But, you know, I took some time to be like, oh, poor me. So sad. And then I decided the only thing to do was to make the most out of a bad situation. You know, that's kind of all there ever is to do. So I thought about, well, I feel bad because I failed. How do I not fail more? So I was thinking about ways that I could improve myself and ultimately improve my life. And that's when the fuller concept of, hey, choose something to do for yourself. Do it poorly until you can do it well. And then when you can do it well, do it for someone else. That's when that idea is like, interesting. That was in 2021-ish, 2-ish. And I was like, Dad kind of taught me all this stuff. It kind of makes sense. And not only does it make sense for me, I think it can make sense for other people. And then in 2023, I became debt-free. Excuse me. I got a cold. I'm sorry. And that was one of my things that I wanted to improve on. You know, I had a bunch of debt. All of the debt that was in my previous marriage was then mine to do something with. Rightfully so. I take the ownership of that. And it made a huge difference in my life. And my mom told me, it's like, hey, what about this financial coaching thing Dave Ramsey has? And you can incorporate that into your rely on yourself stuff. It's like, ooh, yeah. That's a good idea. And that's when I kind of pulled those pieces together and had the idea of rely on yourself. With the name, the logo, and all that goodiness. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to get out of the Army and do this. And then I reenlisted after I got promoted. And, or was trying to get promoted. And then it just kind of became, oh, well, I can still use this to help my soldiers. And, you know, some of them gave a crap. Most of them didn't care. They just wanted to keep doing what they were doing. You know, they didn't. Anyway. So then finally time comes. I was like, okay, I got promoted. I'm going to get out now. And then I came up with this other idea of American Patriot, because I saw about, you know, I've always had ideas of t-shirts that I wanted, but nobody made. And I was like, how do I make t-shirts that I want to wear? And I watched a bunch of videos about print on demand is better than drop shipping and how it's so easy. And yeah, so I did that too and added that on. And, you know, I got out and I made both of those official businesses, logos, Etsy's and everything and all that good stuff. And turns out I was really scared to pursue the rely on yourself stuff. I didn't until last month. But American Patriot, I was all in on. And I was like, ooh, I can have a woodworking aspect of this as well. And whenever I got out, I was out of the Army, meaning whenever I first got discharged, I was very depressed, super depresso. You know, I had joined the Army Reserves, but of course I had like 2 months of leave. And even then, after that, I had 30 days to report to my unit. So I had 3 months of no Army. And I was just, I had lost all of what I identified as, not to sound like a bunch of crazy trans stuff, but, I made being a soldier my whole personality, and then it was gone. And I was just felt like I had lost all purpose and didn't do crap for like 2 months. The 2 months that I had while I was on leave, but I was still getting paid. And, I would piddle around with some stuff, but I didn't treat it like a business like I should have from the very beginning. Whenever I had 2 months of paychecks and I got some money anyway, most of that money I put into equipment for my business, like this broken CNC machine, and like filing for the business and all that crazy stuff and all that. And, it was just, I finally got my butt in gear when it was after the fact that after my leave was over, when I was not getting regular money. And I did that for a solid month, I'd say. And then I ended up moving here to Texas from Georgia. And that kind of disrupted all kinds of stuff. And there's still things I'm unpacking, trying to figure out where they went from the move. And then I got a job. Not going to say who, but it didn't work out. It wasn't a good fit, and up until last month, about the beginning of October, I had not treated my businesses as anything worth spending time on. I had gotten sales here and there, at some very convenient times. Like, let me say, God pulled out for me whenever I really needed it. It wasn't anything crazy, like, not like I'm making a bunch of money, but it helped me pay my bills when I needed it to. And, yeah, as I mentioned, the whole thing with the job that I got here didn't work out. I'd put in my 2-week notice, and a week into that 2-week notice, they said that was my last day. So I didn't even get to finish my 2 weeks and get a full paycheck. And now here I am, wondering how everything fits together. Oh, I met a very lovely girl when I got here. She's wonderful. I don't understand why God decided to bless me with that wonderful woman. We're getting married in February, so that's, wonderful. So, got to figure this crap out. Yeah. Yeah. Anyway, in the time being, I am trying to go all out on my businesses, treat them as an actual job, while also applying for jobs. Because my businesses aren't making money, or at least not enough. And at the same time, while I haven't gotten any job offers or any positive responses. Anyway, while I'm waiting for something to work out there, I got some free crap off of Facebook, and gonna try to fix it up and sell them, and hopefully turn that kind of subsection of the business is came up with a name for it, Patriot Restorations, and hopefully I can use that to build towards restoring classic vehicles, old trucks, old cars, and then selling them or renting them out, keeping certain ones for whatever reasons. And then I film it. I try to film everything I do to try to help have an additional income stream based off of that work. Basically get paid for the same work twice. Got 5 YouTube channels. And, but yeah, I think one thing that was at least hurting my immediate needs is that things are too, particularly the rely on yourself enterprise is a bit too, I had a word, it's not as tangible, more of a philosophy, personal brand kind of thing, rather than selling a hard product, which there will be hard products that feed into the overall narrative, but I think that's one thing that's been hurting me in that respect as far as making money up front now. And also, folks are hurting, people don't have a bunch of expendable income. For flags, like, let's see here. Yeah, come here. Like, nice, pretty wooden flags, or it's a lot of people, it's hard to justify financial coaching whenever they're down. I'd argue it can really help turn a ship around faster. But anyway, it's not a promo here. But yeah, and originally I had all my businesses separated. Each idea has their own business and their own everything, but now I'm changing it to where they're all consolidated under one until they can prove that they are worthy of spinning off into their own business officially. And I'd probably quantify that as once you have, I don't know if I'd say once it has its own employees, because an accountant, social media manager, those would be wonderful to have under the single business to where they just manage all of them. I don't know what hand movements I'm doing, but so I'd say like once, for example, if I get to the point where I hire another financial coach for Rely on Yourself, so I can focus on a bigger picture, that would be when I would spin that off, perhaps. Or maybe I would just wait until I get to a point with one of them where I'm thinking about selling it and I can make some money. Anyway, that's for future ideas. I gotta get this thing profitable first and actually worth something. But anyway, I think, yeah. Trying to think of what I wish I had utilized my time more wisely while I still had that other job. And while I was, this whole time, this whole year, I wish I had. Combined, I probably have 3 months worth of solid work this year, and it is November 6th, something, 5th, I don't know. And, that can't work. Nothing will grow with that. And I think a lot of it was me being scared to put myself out there, especially with the YouTube part. It's a little, books are one thing, books are hard for me because it's hard to justify sitting there and utilizing my time before I ever am anywhere close to getting paid for it. There's the same idea kind of applies to YouTube, but also that is putting my face, my voice, and all of that out there for people to criticize, and my thoughts. I think the thoughts are the biggest thing. And the only reason why Monday morning quarterbacking is useful is to how you can use those lessons to affect your future. But really, I think a lot of these things, people say everything happens for a reason. Sometimes things just happen, and sometimes things happen for a reason, but it's not as grand as you think it is. It's just because you made a dumb decision. But anyway, I think if I had to put some positive spin on the situation I'm in right now, it's that I had to feel some pressure to really get off my butt to overcome whatever fears I had, and to just say, all right, Lord, I know you're calling me to do this. I'm sorry, I hesitated. Let's go. And yeah. I think that's all I got. Yeah. So, yeah. Come on, Lord, let's go. But, yeah, I applied for 20 jobs yesterday. Today I made 9. This is the 9th YouTube video making today. That'll get me through the rest of the week. And I know I've been really watching a lot of Alex Hormozy's videos. It's because he gives a lot of good value away for free, and he talks about how that's his strategy, and I really appreciate it, and how he capitalizes on the implementation of it. But he was saying, the biggest thing you can do is just more volume. Just do more. But I'm trying to strike a balance of doing more that I can sustain whenever I do have another regular daytime job. If I were to get a job tomorrow and start immediately, I could still use my Saturday instead of Wednesday to knock out all my videos for the next week. And then I still have time after work on the other days to take care of anything else that I have to do, as far as writing or anything else, But anyway, I'm hoping I'm striking the right balance. And I'm really hoping something starts working soon. You know, earlier today, the best hope I had for a job, the one I felt the best about, most confident in, sent me an email saying, "Oh, we don't have positions open for you that fit your skills at this time." That was a bit of a gut punch. I was like, dude, I just need something to go my way. And I know there's not much use in thinking like that, but I think it's important to get it out for a minute so that you can be like, all right, got it out of my system. Keep charging forward. And then you just figure it out. Try to plan and figure it out. But anyway. The thing I'm having to refocus on is just trying to trust that God's got me, and I know He does. But I'm reminding myself it'll all be okay. It'll be all good. As long as the Lord's will is fulfilled, we are all good. But anyway, I'll shut up now. I hope you got something out of that. If nothing else, I guess I got something off my chest, and sometime in the future, I can be like, hey, look at that idiot. Whichever perspective that may come from. But anyway, I said anyway about 5 times now. I don't know if I'm going to be making another one of these anytime soon. But whenever I do, I'll see you then. See ya.